What's going on, everybody? My name is Monatui, coach of the Tampa Bay Luxrays, and today I'm bringing you guys our PPL Season 4 Week 3 match versus PolyMac, coach of the Thunderbolten Wanderers. Definitely check out his YouTube link in the description below. He is a very good friend of mine. He is a very good battler who continues to improve his abilities each upcoming season. Season 1, he took over a team that he was not super comfortable with, and he ended up being in last place. After that, in last season, he was the only other person alongside me to get promoted into Division 1, and this season he is doing very well as well, being 1-1 with, I believe, a +4 differential. So he is off to a very good start, and we are looking to pick up a win after our unfortunate loss last week. But I have an entire team builder dedicated to my team, but for a quick rundown, we have our specially defensive Roar Pilots line, we have our specially defensive Akaberry Fortress, we have our Expert Belt Thunderous, we have our Life Orb Sub Terrakion, we have our very bulky Mega Altaria, and we have our Life Orb Beyond Mega. So, looking at the team that Paul brought, he brought his Hitmonchan, Registeel, Latios, Crocodile, Mega Audino, and Manaphy. Now, immediately looking at his team, even though I didn't bring Skuntank, I'm pretty sure his Latios would have been prepped for it and is packing the Cobra Berry, some sort of like offensive Cobra Berry set in order to hit me, take a Pursuit, maybe even take a Sucker Punch, Crunch, whatever he wants to do, and then fire back a very good hit. Hitmonchan, pretty obviously going to have things like Mach Punch to check the Terrakion, Ice Punch to hit the majority of my team, which is definitely there. And then everything else is kind of up in the air. So Crook, I'm kind of thinking is Scarfed versus my team, just because defensive Crook doesn't do a lot versus it. Like Altaria beats it anyway, Yanmega beats it, Terrak still hurts it a lot, same with Thunderous. I don't think he'd want to give me a Defiant boost if I were Defiant, which I am actually, but I don't have any physical attacks. So defensive just isn't doing a lot for him. He could be like some sort of offensive variant with Rocks, but I'm thinking Scarf just to offensively check a lot of my Mons. The Mega Audino, I'm not entirely sure what it's going to be. The Manaphy, I'm not entirely sure what it's going to be, but looking at team preview, I see that Pilot's line is a pretty decent lead. If he decides to lead with Registeel, I can kind of beat that 1v1 hit with an Earthquake. I beat Latios lead, I beat Crook lead. If he leads Manaphy, I can roar that out, so I am just going to lead with my Pilot's line. And, of course, we're just going to get right into the battle here. Paul, well, I'm going to lead with my Poly's line, which I'm sure he's very happy to see, named after him, of course. And then he is going to lead with his Manaphy. So like I said, I am just going to click Roar. I can't afford this thing to set up or do anything like that. He actually just goes for the sub, which I kind of thought was kind of funny, because this is the exact situation that I was in versus George. Like, he had a Manaphy, he subbed, and I had roared it out. But here, he's going to get the switch out into Crocodile, which is best case scenario for me. And I'm predicting him to either go for a knockoff, superpower, or double out. Any of those options are very good with my Altaria, because I'm a very bulky Altaria, can't knock off my item, obviously. And he does double out into his Mega Audino, which I am totally fine with, because I have a lot of HP and SPDF on this Altaria. And I can set up all over this thing's Dazzling Gleams. So, as you're going to see here, breathing, he is going to go right for the Mega Evolution, as per the rules. And I'm just going to go for a Dragon Dance, because like I said, I can take any hit that this thing wants to go for. I'm a very, very bulky Altaria, and I will be able to beat him 1v1. So he's going to go for the Dazzling Gleam here, and he ends up scoring a crit, which is a little bit unfortunate, because now I'm forced to roost, where on the following turn it would have been less than half. I could have Dragon Danced up again. As you can see here, I do just go right for the roost, get myself back to near full HP as he fires off another Dazzling Gleam, which I will be able to take relatively well. It's going to bring me to half of my HP, but on the following turn I can roost up again and get myself to max HP once again. So he's going to switch out into his Registeel, which once again I'm okay with. If this thing has Toxic, I have the Heal Bell to get rid of it. If he has Iron Head, I'll be able to set up all over it. So once again, I'm just going to go for a Dragon Dance, thinking I can set up all over this thing. I apologize. And as you're going to see, he does end up just going for the Toxic, and he does land, which is totally fine, because like I said, I have Heal Bell. I can get rid of this thing, I can get rid of the Poison rather, I can just continuously beat him 1v1, I can tank Iron Heads easily, I am impish, I have a lot of physical defense. So I'm going to go for the Heal Bell, get rid of this Poison on me, and as you're going to see here, he is going to fire off an attack, but it's going to end up being Flash Cannon, which is still not the worst thing in the world, because I can take it very well, but this now means that I run the risk of getting a SPDF drop, which may come into play later. So he's going to go for another Flash Cannon as I return, get off pitiful damage, telling me he's max physical defense. But as you can see, he's not leftovers, which is very nice, which has me thinking he's either Chople for my Terrakion or Shuka. for possibly a Mega Altari's Earthquake or something like that. As you can see here, I roost up as he actually decides to get up his Stealth Rock, which I'm totally okay with because this allows me another free attack. I can go for the, well, not a free attack, but this allows me another attack. I can go for the return as he fires off another Flash Cannon, which I will be able to tank very easily. As you can see there, only does that. But he now gets the Spadef drop. So this is very unfortunate. And let me just talk about it a little bit. It's not necessarily hacks because he would have gotten the Spadef drop eventually. But had he not gotten the Spadef drop here, I would have been able to hit him, or I would have been able to roost up, deal some more damage onto him, which would have been nice for my Yanmega. But also the big thing is if he did not get the Spadef drop at all, like I was able to just keep roosting up and clicking return or Dragon Dance versus this thing, I would have just won the game right there. Like he has absolutely nothing to stop this thing at this point. But very good prep on his part, bringing Flash Cannon over Iron Head. I don't think that was necessarily his intention, but bringing Flash Cannon over Iron Head really helped them out in this situation, because without the Spadef drop, I took Iron Heads a little bit better because I have higher physical defense than special defense, so Flash Cannon overall was just more detrimental to me than anything else. So we're now going to switch out into our Fortress, knowing that we can take a Flash Cannon, Seismic Toss, whatever he has easily. He does end up revealing the Seismic Toss, so we know this thing's full moveset: Stealth Rock, Seismic Toss, Flash Cannon, and Toxic. It also reveals that he's not Light Metal, which is good to have, not that it matters that much, but here I just want to spin away these Stealth Rocks. They're kind of a nuisance to my team, especially my biggest win condition in Yanmega, and it's annoying to my Thunders as well. So here I'm just going to go for the Volt Switch after getting off the Rapid Spin. I don't care what this man if he does. If he scalds me, I can take it. Fortress is not the most useful thing in the world anymore, so I'm going to be able to take the Scald relatively well. I do not get burnt, and I am just going to fire off a Volt Switch. The Scald damage on that kind of shows me that he's an uninvested Mana Fee. Also, the Volt Switch damage shows that he's max HP, so I'm thinking he's going to be more physically defensive, maybe like a Subtail Glow set, something like that. But regardless, here I am able to just send out my Thunderous Incarnate and threaten this thing with a Thunderbolt, which is exactly what I decided to go for. I don't think he'd hard switch into his Crocodile, because it's a very risky play. So I think he's going to go out into his Mega Audino, because it just takes any hit from me ever. But as you can see here, I go for Thunderbolt, and it does so little damage. Mega Audino is so bulky. Like, I'm max special attack, and that does under 25%, which is just insane. But here, I'm going to taunt him as he ends up going for the knockoff. I wanted to prevent him from going for Wish or anything like that, as I'm going to hit him with another Thunderbolt, bringing him to a little bit above 50% of his HP. Now here, I'm pretty sure he's going to switch out. Very likely into something like a Scarfed Crocodile, because he can take the Thunderbolt, obviously, and then knock me out with a Scarfed knockoff. So I end up going for the Focus Blast here. I'll be able to knock out the Crocodile. If he sends in his Latios instead, I'll be able to gauge the damage onto that thing, see if it has leftovers or not, I'll be able to gauge the EV spread as well, which is very nice. And if he decides to stay in, just going for another attack, I weaken it even a little bit more for my Yanmega, which is very, very nice. So I do end up going for the Focus Blast. Could have gone for knockoff as well, but once again, in case he decided to stay in, not wanting to risk anything else taking damage, I do just go for the Focus Blast, and unfortunately we are going to miss the Latios. Now that doesn't seem like a big deal right now, because Latios has good Spadef, it would have taken that very well, I'm not Life Orb or anything like that, but you'll see a little bit later on why this miss is very crucial. So as you can see here, I'm just going to switch out into my Pilot's Alliance, especially defensive. It can take on whatever this thing wants to do, and as you can see, he does just go right for the Psychic, which I am totally okay with. Doesn't do a lot of damage to me whatsoever. And now I know he is going to switch out, so I just go right for the Earthquake. I was kind of expecting the Mana Fee to want to come in, but he actually decides to send in his Mega Audino, which I'm also very okay with, because now after another Earthquake, I will be able to put him in range of my Yanmega. And even though he goes for Wish, I do have the Roar, of course, so I'll be able to roar him out and make sure that this thing does not get back up to full health. So he actually decides to switch out. He actually did not have Protect. I didn't know this at the time, but he doesn't have Protect. And he's going to send out his Mana Fee, trying to get that thing back to full health. But I'm able to roar him out, and I send him once again back into the best thing possible, back out into his Crocodile. So here, just playing it safe, I decided to go for the Icicle Spear at this point. Probably could have gone back out into my Altaria, but I didn't want to risk him going for Earthquake randomly, even though that was kind of silly. But gonna fire off an Icicle Spear. By this damage, I'm 100% sure that that is a physical defensive Mana Fee. Even though I'm uninvested, that does absolutely nothing, and I'm able to get 4 hits. So that's definitely physical defensive Mana Fee. Subtail Glow more than likely. Here, I am totally okay with going for the Earthquake, because if he goes for sub on this turn, I can knock him out with my Yanmega's Bug Buzz on the following turn. Because, like I said, I am, well, no. Bug Buzz obviously hits behind subs, but he goes for the Scald, does get the burn, which means I'm not going to be able to do any damage to this Manaphy, but I am okay with kind of stacking off this Pilot's Line. I don't care if he goes for Tail Glow, I don't care if he goes for sub, like I said, I can roar him out if he does that. I have the Yanmega with Bug Buzz in the back, so I'm just going to go for another Earthquake as he sends out his Latios, which I thought was kind of interesting, obviously good predicting my Earthquake and whatnot, and here, this is where the Focus Blast miss really kind of shows why it sucks. I'm going to go for the Ice Shard, as he reveals to be extremely physically defensive, and he's going to go for the Calm Mind, which means that he's going to be able to set up all over me. Well, not necessarily all over me, because I do have Roar, but he's going to be able to set up the Calm Mind, which is a huge problem for my team. Now here, I make kind of a risky play, and I'm going to go for another Ice Shard, but I know there's absolutely no way he is going to click Calm Mind on this turn, because I revealed Roar. That's probably what I'm going to go for here. It's not what I go for. I just go for the Ice Shard to get a little bit of chip damage off onto this Latios. Once again, he's not going for Calm Mind. I showed the Roar. He's not going to risk that. So he's going to go for the Psychic just to knock me out and keep himself at a very good amount of HP, so I will be able to get a little bit extra chip damage with the Ice Shard. But this is a very big problem. I now have to go out into my Fortress and just hit this thing with a Toxic, because this thing, like I said, is just an enormous problem at this point. So, just gotta go for the Toxic, hope that I hit, because right now he's gonna set up another Calm Mind knowing he can't knock me out. I do go for the Toxic, I am able to connect onto the Latios, which is very nice. I can at least put this thing on a timer and whittle him down to the point where I can knock him out with another one of my Mons. But, as you're gonna see here, obviously he has the leftovers. He's going to be able to go for the Psychic now. And it's actually a roll to knock me out, granted it is a roll in his favor to knock me out with the Psychic, but as you can see, it is able to knock me out, and we unfortunately are going to lose our Fortress, which does kind of suck, but it's not the worst thing in the world. I will still be able to kind of deal with his team. Well, I'll still be able to kind of deal with this thing, because I can go out into Thunderous and hit him with a knockoff, which will get about 50% off onto him. But I now have to stack my Thunderous, one of the best things versus his team, because I didn't really have another choice here. I could have gone into Yanmega, but even with the poison damage, it wouldn't have mattered. I could have protected to stall that out a little bit, but unless I got a double protect and he didn't Calm Mind, it wouldn't have mattered, because he's at +2 special defense. But now I can go out in Yanmega. I should have just clicked Bug Buzz here, because I knew I was probably going to outspeed since he's a physically defensive Latios, but I didn't know how much speed he would be running on this thing. I knew he had a lot of physical defense investment, how much I'm not sure. It turns out he was near max and only had enough speed to outspeed Altaria. So I could have just gone for the Bug Buzz there, but it doesn't really matter that much, because he does go for the Psychic and not for Roost, which is very nice. But here, he's going to send out his Hitmonchan. That is the most obvious Assault Vest I've ever seen in my life. And here, I'm just going to stack off my Altaria, which is pretty much the only play I could have made at this point. I need to stack off my Altaria, get a free switch to my Terrakion so I can knock this thing out. His Manaphy ended up not having Ice Beam, which there was no way I could know, so I kind of wish I had ended up saving it, or it didn't have Dazzling Gleam either. So I kind of wish I saved the Altaria, but again, there's absolutely no way I could have known. Now, here is another very important part in the match. I make sort of a misplay. Well, yeah, I kind of make a misplay. In my mind, I'm thinking his best play 100% is just to go out into his Mega Audino just to stack it off, because it is at very little amount of HP. It cannot take a hit from my Yanmega at this point, can't take a hit from Terrakion, obviously, so I figured he would want to go out into it to stack it off. But what I should have been thinking was, there's absolutely no way he was going to stack off his Mega Audino, because if I set up a Rock Polish, he loses the game. So there's that. So he's obviously going to go for Mach Punch in order to weaken me in case I do have Rock Polish, and in case I am, in case I am Rock Polish, he's going to go for Mach Punch to KO me so that he gets rid of me before I can sweep his team. So I do kind of make a misplay here, and I go for the Substitute expecting his Mega Audino sack. However, he does not do that. He just goes for the Mach Punch, gets a lot of damage off onto me as I set up the Substitute. Because I am Life Orb, I will be able to knock out this Hitmonchan, but essentially with the sub, I take 25% of unnecessary damage, which will come into play in a little bit. Because, as you can see here, I do go for Close Combat. I'm going to be able to easily knock out this Hitmonchan, as, of course, these, special defenses are going to drop as he ends up dying, of course. And now he makes kind of a weird play as well. He goes out into his Mega Audino now. I was thinking, oh my god, he's going out to sack his Audino. His Crocodile's not Scarfed. I could have slept with Terrakion. I hate myself. All those things are running through my mind at this point. But I am able to knock out the Mega Audino, which is really, really nice. But now, also, he thought I would die to Life Orb. I thought I was going to die to Life Orb. I do not. I live on 1, which is awesome. But now he's going to send in his Crocodile, and as we can see, he is Choice Scarf. So I'm not entirely sure why he made the Audino play. It was kind of weird, but not that big of a deal. He's going to lock himself into Crunch, which is totally fine. I can go out into my Yanmega here and knock this thing out with the Bug Buzz. I am timid, so I will be able to outspeed a Jolly Max Speed Crocodile. As you're going to see here, I'm going to go out into my Yanmega, just going to go for the Protect. Like I said, just to make sure that I outspeed this thing. He is going to go once again for the Crunch, which would have been able to do a lot of damage to me at +1, but of course I do block that with the Protect. And as you're going to see here, I just go for the Bug Buzz, and I'm easily able to just OHKO this Crocodile, which is very, very nice. But now, it is Life Orb Yanmega versus Registeel and Manaphy. So things are not looking great for me right now, but I do have a realistic chance of winning this game if I can flinch the Registeel a few times. It is physically defensive instead of specially defensive, so I'll be able to get some sort of kind of decent damage off onto it. As you can see here, Air Slash does like virtually nothing. But as you're going to see here, I'm going to go for the, I take a Life Orb damage, I'm actually going to get the flinch. So I'm thinking, okay, if I can get about 2 more of those, I can knock out this Registeel, and he can't OHKO me with anything at this point. But unfortunately, I'm going to miss an Air Slash, so, you know, Season 1 of D2 Trav is rubbing off onto me. He's going to get the Flash Cannon off. Like I said, it's not enough to kill me. And if I can get, like, 2 more Air Slash flinches, I will be able to kill this thing, or a crit. I do not get the crit here, unfortunately. However, I am able to get another flinch. So I'm going to get my speed boost, which is extremely important at this point, facing a Registeel, and I'm going to go for another Air Slash, and we miss, which is hilarious and ironic and all sorts of other things. So he's going to be able to knock me out with the Flash Cannon, and we end up losing this game 2-0 to PolyMac, and I'm just going to pause it here. That was a very good game. Paul played and prepped excellently. Like I said, his prep was just very good. The sub Tailglow Manaphy was really good. Scarf Crook to clean things up. The Hitmonchan to offensively check some things. Flash Cannon over Iron Head was probably the biggest thing of prep that he did that screwed me over the most. If he had Iron Head over Flash Cannon, my Mega Altaria just completely swept through his team. I take Iron Heads better than I take Flash Cannons. He can't flinch me because I'm faster than him. Flash Cannon has a chance to Spit F drop. Iron Head obviously does not. So a couple things I want to point out. Without the Spit F drop, Altaria would have swept through him. Not that that's necessarily hacks, because he would have clicked Flash Cannon a lot of times. The play onto Audino, or the play onto Hitmonchan, where I go for sub, expecting the Audino stack, that was a little bit silly, and I got to think about those types of things more in the late game. At first, when you think about it, it makes sense that he would sack his Audino. It does absolutely nothing for his team, but you also got to think about, well, what is my opponent thinking about? If I go for the Rock Polish there as he sacks Audino, he loses, and that's something he's going to be thinking about at that time. So that was definitely a misplay. Also, even if he did stay in, suppose I click Close Combat as he Mach Punches. Then I'm at a little bit below 50%. His Crocodile has to come in, and it has to go for Crunch. It has to go for Earthquake in order to knock me out, even though I'm at -1, Crunch still doesn't kill me. If he goes for Crunch, if I switch in my Yanmega, I can take it, Protect, and then outspeed him, knock him out on the next turn, and I still have Terrakion that pretty much gets a kill every time it comes in, even if it doesn't get a kill because he used the physically defensive Choppleberry Bear Registeel. That's just putting it in range of my Yanmega. So there are a couple different things that I did wrong in this match, thought process-wise. I need to think some of those plays out a little bit more, and I think that's just a credit to my team. I gotta think, okay, what is my opponent thinking based off of this mon and everything that it can do, not based off of just what I have. For example, I was saying in my team builder I would be fine with bluffing a Scarf. Never ended up getting the opportunity here, but I gotta think about what my opponent is thinking about, essentially. What is, if I have this, what is his play? Or what is his best play in case I have this, if that makes sense. Something else that I got to note in team building is I have to minimize my chances of getting hexed. What I mean is, staying in with Altaria for 7, 8, 9 turns or whatever it was, the chances of me getting crit or Spadef dropped or whatever is going to happen, or is going to increase with each following turn. So it's more than likely going to happen at some point, and I have to kind of prevent myself from doing that. It was kind of my problem last season, or season 1 with Manaphy, was just like I would set up Calm Minds, and then I get paralyzed, and then I get paralyzed like 3 times in a row. That's because the more you risk it, the more likely it is that it's going to happen, which is just statistics. I don't know if that's exactly how you phrase it, but I think you know what I mean. Like, the longer I stay in with this Pokemon, the more likely it is that I'm going to have something bad happen to it, essentially. Granted, I didn't expect Flash Cannon on Registeel. I thought Iron Head, because every Registeel runs Iron Head, except for this one, unfortunately. So there was that. And yeah, I think I don't have anything else to really say, other than next week we're going up against Kelly of the Maryland Torterrapins? Yeah, the Maryland Torterrapins, one of 2 undefeated teams. So far, Sam and Kelly are the only 2 undefeated teams, and I'm really looking forward to that game. Kelly's also a very good friend of mine. He is a horrifying rain team that I'm looking to hopefully take advantage of, but regardless, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.